Good evening, and welcome to the March 5th meeting of the Milford Planning and Zoning Board. If I could ask everyone to please stand up for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May I have a roll call from the left?
Good evening, I'm Brian Collegian.
Nancy Austin.
Carl S. Moore.
Scott Marlowe.
Tom Panzella.
Jim Cater.
Bob Sadie.
Peggy Kearney.
And I'm Jim Quish. We have Meg Green and David Solskis for the city. Our first order of business is a postponement of the 0 and 990 Naugatuck Avenue that will be that'll be looked at on 3/19/19. For new business, we have Morningside Drive and 167 Morningside Drive, Zone R10 petition of the City of Milford for coastal area site plan review for a revetment on map 30, block 613, parcel 1, of which the City of Milford and Phyllis Boynton are the owners. You would please give your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Johnson. I work for the City of Milford as the Open Space and Natural Resource Agent and also as the Acting Assistant Public Works Director. I'm here tonight on the Morningside Drive project to really just put a very brief overview of it and answer any questions you might have. This project is, and the reason for this coastal site plan review, it's a requirement as part of the funding mechanism and permitting for the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, of which this project is one of 10 that the city received after Superstorm Sandy. So this Morningside project is really two phases to it. One is the revetment that would be built and constructed between the Army Corps seawall that was constructed back in 1960 and a residence seawall along Hilldale Court, an adjacent structure. Additionally, as part of this project, we are proposing and have received permission to do repair work along the existing Morningside seawall that spans about 2,500 feet from Hilldale Court to Norwood. The revetment structure is approximately 150 feet in width. And so you have the comments from Connected Deep's John Goucher that concurred that this project meets the necessary and unavoidable constraints to be able to permit this project. So I'm here tonight to really answer any questions you might have, and thank you for coming out this evening to hear this and review it.
Thank you. David, do you have a comment?
Not at this time, because Steve really basically incorporated what was in my report to you. You have my report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Sadie.
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Chairman. Just trying to understand this, 167 Morningside is a private property, and yes, across the road is also private property. That's the Morningside part of it that you're talking about. Is that accurate?
So thank you for the question. Along Morningside Drive, the seawall, which also includes a revetment and what they call a bathing platform, is a city-owned property that spans that roughly 2,500 feet, comprises a little over 2 acres approximately along that wall. So that was purchased from Morningside Association back in the 1960s as part of the Army Corps project that was constructed for that seawall. The private property that's referenced that's the Boyntons, Phyllis Boynton owns at 167. What the city has received is a construction and access agreement, 20-foot wide width across the width of their property that would allow us to construct and maintain this revetment, but also ensure continued public access in the future. The reference to the private house in the application is an adjacent property off of Hilldale Court, and that is part of the justification that in terms of protecting infrastructure pre-1995, that's part of this criteria.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. Mr. Sadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve as presented the petition of the City of Milford for a coastal area site plan review for revetment on map 30, block 613, parcel 1 of the City of Milford, and Phyllis Boynton are the owners.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Marlowe? We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Just one question. Do you have, the entire thing is paid for by a federal grant out of the Sandy Storm Relief Fund?
So, thank you for the question. So, right now we have funding from the Community Development Block Grant, and the total amount for this project is $1,180,480. That's what's been awarded. At this point in time, the preliminary estimates will allow us, we hope, to be able to construct the revetment in front of the 167. And then what we're going to be doing is unit cost pricing for the repairs. So we're going to prioritize the repairs that are the most needed to be able to accomplish as much as we can with the award dollars that we do have. And then we'll have permits to be able to continue that as needed and as funding can be secured in the future. So the priority will be the revetment, and then the highest order repairs we can along the seawall along Morningside Drive. But there may not be everything we can do for that repair along Morningside Drive.
So is that license now good in perpetuity until there's...
Well, the license is good. I would have to double check, but I believe it's 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, approved.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
We have liaison reports as next. Are there any reports? Seeing none, we have the Regulations Subcommittee. Mr. Grant is not here, so there's no report. Approval of the minutes. We have a motion. Mr. Marlowe. Second. Mr. Pancella. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it passes. Chair's report. We have Meredith is here for a merit badge. So welcome. And I'm sorry it wasn't a more interesting event, but you're welcome to come back on the first and third Tuesday of every month to come and see what we do. And hopefully you'll get more of a sense of what's going on. But thanks for being here. Staff report.
Okay, so this evening you should have in front of you something that looks like this, because I'm asking you to reauthorize the zoning regulations amended to March 18th, 2019, with an adoption date of 3/22/19. For those of you who are familiar with our book, its last adopted date was 2011. It's been updated. We've changed regulations on and off since 2011, and it's gotten to the point where we have to draw a line in the sand so we can print new books. And this would declare that line in the sand. So all of the amendments, which we have to keep separately, will be incorporated into the book. And then with future changes, we'll, those will be amendments that at some other point will be incorporated into the book at a future adoption and reauthorization.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, let's have, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you, that passes. There's one other piece of business that I have is, every 10 years, we have to redo the Plan of Conservation and Development. We did get some volunteers to be on a committee a few meetings ago, but we have a different makeup of the board now, and we also are now actually getting ready to schedule a meeting. So I would ask for volunteers to be on that. We'll probably start with a meeting on the second meeting of the month, not this month, but next month, and we'll have a meeting before our regular meeting, and we'll discuss the parameters and look at how to proceed at that time. I would think that it's not going to be it'll be sort of a progressive commitment where we'll meet a few times and then we'll develop a plan, and then we'll probably have a more robust effort as time goes on. So I would ask for volunteers. So if you would raise your hand, if you would be willing to be on. We have Scott. We have, no, Mr. Sadie. Peg. Okay, so we have three. We'll have Mr. Sadie. Will we have?
Mr. Chairman, I
Mr.
didn't raise
Sadie.
my hand.
What's that?
That was Mr. Cater, I believe.
You can volunteer now, and if you decide to sit down, then you can do that. So Mr. Cater's on it. And Mr. Griffin, will you be a member of that? He will, okay. And I imagine you will as well?
It's my job.
So do you?
So for clarity-
Do you intend on doing that job? That's the question, I guess.
So for clarity, can I have the names again? So we have,
Okay, so we have it, we have
I have Scott, Peggy,
me.
Bob, Jim K., and Jim Q. Not Bob, oh, sorry, okay.
Okay, so let's plan a meeting for 6:30 on the second meeting in April. Be our kickoff.
may I make a homework suggestion? All those on the committee, please read the current Plan of Conservation and Development.
That's what I was going to get to. Yeah, that's a very good idea. I think that that would be a good idea. And I think we may do some refresher at that first meeting too, just to go over stuff that seems, just seems to be the most important and the most, also, if you would please put in the Dropbox of those members a regional plan so that they have that to look at. It's something that we reference for our city is the Regional Plan of Conservation and Development, and it's really good to just have that to look at as well. So it's a regional plan of conservation and development. It's, I think, around a dozen towns that's represented by a commission, and then they again, I think about every 10 years, they do it again as well.
Well, it's a pyramid, because the state has one, then you have the region, then you have the towns. So everyone's got to work together, so they all fit together.
Right.
And our plan has to follow some requirements in the statutes. That's what guides our particular plan, and it's supposed to play nicely with both the region and the state.
Great. Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Moved. All in favor? Done. Thank you.